Welcome to Between Two Pastries, a not-so-typical nutrition podcast. Nicole and Annie are licensed and registered dietitians. Join them as they discuss hot nutrition topics, challenge popular beliefs, and have a blast doing it. Here are your hosts, Nicole and Annie.
Welcome to Between Two Pastries. This is Nicole.
Hey everyone, it's Annie.
So we're sort of doing a follow-up to the thinness equals
Part
health.
Part two.
Part two. However, we also had wanted to name it fat-phobia.
Not part two.
Not part two. So the purpose of this is also talking about fat-phobia, which is really kind of the flip side of the thinness equals health.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we're talking about thinness does not equal health. And here's a story I want to give. And it leads right into what the purpose of this podcast is, which obviously is a continuation, but a little topic change into fat phobia. So I have a person that I work with who's young. She's wonderful. I don't know what her weight is. I don't care what her weight is. Doesn't matter. She came to me looking to quote unquote get healthy. And health has always been important to her in the sense of, making sure her heart is healthy, blood pressure, cholesterol, she's eating fruits and vegetables, things like that. She is living in a bigger body. And I think probably internally, that bothers her, but she has dedicated her time with me to just simply working on health and not body size or anything like that. So I give her a lot of credit for that. She's maybe in the last year, just simply by making some behavior modifications. We haven't changed what she eats, just simply the behaviors of that eating, not less, the behaviors, the timing and awareness has changed. Mm-hmm. So she's maybe lost 15 pounds. I still have no idea what her weight is. But, I know her, she's living in a bigger body. She had to go to the doctor for whatever reason. And she is thinking about, wanting to have a baby. The doctor tells her, well, it'll be easier for you to get pregnant if you lose weight. Nicole, I have yet to find one study that says people in bigger bodies can't have babies.
So here's the thing. That is a projection of that doctor assuming she's insulin resistant, she's at risk for diabetes.
That she doesn't have a dietitian who she works with. And this girl, she walks 4 or 5 days a week. She's got a hill that she's mastered walking, which is fine. Mm-hmm. She's going to integrate some strength. Mm-hmm. She eats fruits and veggies. She eats 3 meals a day, maybe snacks. Desserts are intermittent throughout the week, whatever. Cooks.
But look how that physician, though, decided to not even seek that information, but just go ahead and throw assumptions out there.
Because you're fat, you're unhealthy.
That's right.
And again, this is the point. Thinness
coming from a physician.
Equal health. Right. My heart went out to her.
Well, absolutely.
I was so upset. And she's like, I understand. I don't, that's not true. And I'm like, no, this is so.
It's the last thing that you want.
She said, I've been dealing with this my whole life. What's wrong with people?
I know. It's really, really crazy.
They just that assumption because you're heavy, therefore you're unhealthy.
Well,
give me an effing break.
But that's the whole thing. And like you said, that's why there is this fat phobic out there.
Correct.
So
it's a good tangent.
No,
slide in.
Yeah.
Because that physician clearly is fat phobic. So many practitioners.
But how many are? How many
They're so fat phobic. Well, let's use, I know we talked about this, I don't know if this pod will be before or after our discussion with Debbie, but even that whole concept of knee surgery.
Yes.
We can do your bypass surgery. We can do your Roux-en-Y surgery or gastric bypass.
Right, gastric bypass, yeah.
But we're not going to do the knee surgery till you lose weight. That, for some reason, is too hard for us to do. But for sure, we'll tie that belly up. Even though that's where majority of your fat sits, And the claim that we can't do knee surgery is because there's too much fat in the area.
Right. But the other,
What
the oth-
now?
I know. But the other thing with that, even with gastric bypass and some of those, sometimes you have to lose weight in order to do that. The issue though is that they're like, yeah, you need to lose weight like yesterday. Like you have
Mhm.
to do it super fast.
Yeah, they
So not
basically have you not
right,
eat.
right, which is horrible.
Yeah, I have a employee of mine over at the hospital who did bypass, and I know why she did it. It was because boyfriend was cheating on her, and she, okay, so if I look better, therefore he'll want me then.
Hmm.
So she has bypass surgery, and when you have bypass surgery, your weight is supposed to change significantly in the first, 60 to 90 days.
Yeah, completely.
It hasn't.
Hmm.
I see her eating chips. I see
Hmm.
her eating like liquid things. I see her eating I see her eating everything. Nothing has changed in her behavior. Today her breakfast or lunch, I don't know what meal it would be for her based on her schedule, there's a large bag of Munchos and she
Hmm.
had about 2/3 of it. Now it's not the food that's keeping her, it's the behavior,
That's right.
right? Because I'm not saying Munchos are a bad thing. I'm saying just having that for lunch
Right.
and nothing else is not a good behavior, period. Like that's
Correct.
not something we want to habitualize, which it is. I've had patients at the hospital who've had bypass 5, 10, 15 years ago. They're still in a big body. Or I've worked with one who had significant fears of food.
Hmm. Hmm.
What the heck?
I know.
What are they doing?
I
I
know.
mean, this isn't a pot on bypass, but like you clearly have fat phobic thoughts if that's the area of medicine you're working in. I mean, clearly. It's one of my least favorite parts of medicine is gastric bypass. The fat phobia is seen pretty ridiculously among practitioners. Even doctors don't understand a proper growth chart, and some kids trend at the
Well, yeah,
75th percentile or the
sure,
90th percentile.
sure. But a,
That's
a
okay.
lot of a lot of people struggle with this, and since you brought up kids, that's also a
Yeah.
big area that
Hmm.
parents struggle with. If they see their child getting wider before they get taller,
Yeah.
they all of a sudden feel like there's a huge problem going on.
I remember back in the day, I was working I was working at a health club, and I had a parent, you got to meet with my kid. You got to meet with my kid.
Hmm.
He's fat. That's the language. And he was 12,
Hmm.
13. And he was just this, roly-poly little guy kind of a thing. Never ended up me. They never scheduled. Ran into him a couple years later. So he was like 15, 16. He was 6'2",
Yep,
built. I mean,
yep,
give these kids some time.
right,
Development means fat,
right.
period.
Yeah, yeah,
You
right.
have
And
to have
leave them
fat to develop.
alone. Oh
Leave
my
them be
gosh.
because you are psychologically killing them.
Yeah. Well,
Now, by age 15, 16 for females, some of that should start to go away. Or, you want to create those good habits. We shouldn't be eating late at night or
right,
whatever,
right, right,
things
right,
like
right,
that.
right, right.
But that early developmental stage, let it
Hmm.
be already.
I know. I
But
know.
people are fat phobic, so then they end up, being stupid
Hmm.
and saying stupid things.
But to be told that you're a problem or your body is a problem at such a
Right.
young age, whether you directly say that to your child or they
Mm-hmm.
hear you talking about it, or as we talked about in the previous pod, like you were saying, if you're giving your kid a look or
Mm-hmm.
you're feeling shame around
Oh God,
your
yeah.
child will feel shame around
Mm-hmm.
himself
Correct.
because children pick up on all the things.
Oh yeah, they're
They
pretty good at that.
observe more than they listen to you. They see
Correct.
you. They feel
Correct.
you. They
Mm-hmm.
understand.
Right.
And that's so damaging.
Oh, I mean,
But
again,
yeah, but it's our
we're,
society. Our society is our society is ill.
oh, it's so ill, and I don't see it getting better
Hmm.
until, obviously there's people like us, but then it also has to be from listeners, you know, listeners, other people, just continuing to spread the message, yes, but also doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We can't change diet culture. We can't get rid of it until people start fighting it. We can't change fat phobic thinking until people start challenging it.
Mm-hmm.
And people start saying to those who say fat phobic things to them, excuse me, no.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, we have to stop with those assumptions. The assumption being little body equals health and big body equals unhealth. And that's not okay.
And right.
I mean, I think that's the main message, right?
It is the main message, right? Where really, little body, big body, wide body, tall body, short body is simply a genetic DNA makeup.
Right. And behavioral.
Sure.
And when we got something going on, something traumatic happened, or those instances of shame, or something that leads me to create judgments about myself, I might choose food as a way to cope. Mm-hmm. To be able to recognize that I'm choosing to eat all the cookies in the world as a means to cope with trauma that happened or whatever in childhood or adulthood. If you can recognize that, you can combat it. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, I hate myself. I eat all the cookies. I hate myself more. I do a diet so I can feel okay. And then the cycle continues.
I know.
And I keep shaming myself for being in a bigger body, and it just keeps getting bigger.
Right. Right.
Well, behavior is a component. We totally it is primarily genetic, so much of it. But our behavior shapes so much of how we eat and our thinking about food. If I don't think pizza is healthy and I don't eat it, and therefore I put it on a pedestal, we're going to have a problem.
Right. Right.
Or if all I eat is brownies, we're going to have a problem.
Right. And also when I talk about genetic too, I really mean body shape. So people always think like, oh, if I was smaller, it's like they think if they're smaller, like they'll just look totally differently. And it's like, no, you're still going to have the same shape. It just might be reduced, but you're still going to have the same shape.
Correct. Right.
You're still going to hold your body fat where you are designed to hold your body fat. And we all hold it in different areas.
I hate that. I want to lose weight in my thighs.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
I want to lose weight in my belly. I want to lose weight in my arms or whatever people want to say.
Right. It's like, okay, well.
The only place where weight increases or decreases, not based on genetics, is your stomach, where cortisol would.
Right.
When we have high levels of cortisol.
Right.
That's where we're going to see a lot of that.
Or insulin resistance. Yeah.
Yes. Insulin resistance. Correct. Hormonal issues.
Straight
up. Which
might
might not be genetic. Certainly we've talked about stress, the stress hormone relationship.
Correct.
Other than that, so much of it is genetic. Mm-hmm. Where you gain or lose, or like you were talking about your shape, and
that will never change for people. No. It just doesn't, because that's your program.
Why don't they get that?
Yeah.
But why is there that constant fight though?
I know. Well, because everybody thinks they should look the same.
And they themselves become more and more fat phobic.
Correct.
Right? I mean, that would be the presumed cycle, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just don't get it. It blows my mind, like when I see body positive posts or supporters online or social, or just in passing or whatever. What does fat phobia look like in a social media world? And if Nicole and I post a picture on someone doing yoga in a bigger body or eating pizza or whatever, fat phobic comment is going to be they should be eating salad instead of pizza. Or they should have a bigger shirt on than a sports bra, or they need to do more strength training. They need to go for a run and not be doing that. Those are fat phobic comments. So when we see an image or a story and we put our, judgments, we project our own shame to them.
Yeah, completely.
What we hate about ourselves or what our own goals are, that's fat phobia. Those are examples of.
Especially when someone accepts everything about themselves, it's always going to trigger someone else It's always going to make someone else mad because chances are they don't.
God, isn't that sad though?
Yeah.
Like, Nicole, you pronounce your, like love of yourself online, and then you've like haters. What is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Like, because you love your body, love yourself, your life, your personality, who you are, what you've become, and you want to tell the world about that, you're the problem?
Right.
What is that a phobia of? Because that, I mean, fat phobic or not, I mean, I think we see that constantly.
I know.
Where people like get angry that other people are happy.
Yeah, for sure.
What? Or other people are happy in their own body, in a larger body, with no goal of weight loss.
Right.
I can tell you, I've been told on multiple occasions that there are runners in the community who are intimidated because I don't have issues with food. That's weird to me. I mean, no one should be intimidated of me in any way, running or food or body, but like, it's interesting to hear, I go on a run with someone and they tell me, yeah, a couple of these people are talking about how intimidating it is that you can eat that you do eat what you want. And you
like, well, they could too.
They can, like, I mean, I don't understand.
It's pretty much free for anybody,
Right.
It just so happens that you know what feels right to you and what works for you.
But it's not because I'm a dietitian.
No, it's not.
I had to learn all of this.
Right. Trial and error.
I had to go through ups and downs and all the yuck to come out and have a good relationship with food. Right. And it's okay to have a bad relationship with food and turn it into a good one.
Well, absolutely.
And it can be okay to be fat phobic and turn that around into body positivity.
Right.
Anyone can do it. You got to make a choice to.
That's just it.
And is that uncomfortable though?
Yeah. Well, it's also uncomfortable. People have a really difficult time accepting where they are right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Accepting wherever they are right now.
Yeah.
They've got to get through their own layers of self-judgment and ridicule. But I mean, that only keeps fueling the behavior of, self-hate then in some respect,
Right. Fat phobia makes me really upset. It's just another name for bullying. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's just a specific type of bullying.
It definitely is. It definitely is. And it's one that, unfortunately, it's almost acceptable.
Oh, it's totally acceptable. If you're not being fat phobic, you have a problem.
If
you are body positive,
yeah,
you must have not achieved your goals. You must be fat if you're body positive. Sure. You must have issues. Like, they've twisted it. My mind is blown by that.
If we were talking about a racial thing, it would be like, whoa, that's just gone too far.
Exactly.
But when we're talking about this, it's sort of like, well, yeah. Right. That's what I mean. Like, it's almost this accepted view.
Right. Totally accepted.
Of what is a problem. And that, again, is just another twisted nature of our ill society.
So
it's crazy. I know. It's like mind blowing. It's like we have to stop here and it's like you need to think about that for a minute.
Well, I want to challenge, before we stop, I do want to challenge everyone to, when you see something, challenge yourself. Are you being positive to that person? And are you being positive to yourself? Because it's one thing to be like, hey, great job. But also to not feel bad about yourself or where you're at.
That's correct.
And stop giving kudos to people who are shrinking themselves.
Right.
I agree with that. Doesn't mean they're healthy.
No.
It generally means something's wrong.
Right. Because it's not something people have to do to be okay.
Right.
Or to be whatever this healthy thing is, which I feel like is just an excuse to reduce.
Yes. Yeah, good one. I like that. These are important things. And I hope, listen to it again. Don't dismiss it. Like, again, I feel like I'm going to be across the table from someone and they'll listen to the pod and then they'll not grab nothing.
Sure.
Because again, this is conversation that is very new to people, or at least it's not part of what's ingrained in their head. So it will take time to start to, change.
Agreed.
So I challenge you to change your thinking, especially as it relates to thinness and health.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Thanks, everybody.
Have questions you want to hear discussed on the show? Find us on Facebook or visit between2pastries.com and drop us a line. Want to support the show? Find us on Patreon for exclusive content. If you love the show, find us on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. Hit the subscribe button and leave us a review.